I'm here today with Barbara Borsack, the Elms Party candidate for mayor in the Village of East Hampton in the September 15th election. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Larry.
Barbara, candidate from, why are you running for mayor? I mean, I think that's a fundamental question
Okay.
people would like to know.
Fair enough. I grew up in this village. I mean, I love this village. And I've spent my whole life trying to give back to it because I feel such a connection to it. And I think that that's part of our civic duty to give back to our community. So I've been involved in, from the time my kids were little, in PTAs, you know, all the way up until I got on the village board when I was elected as the first woman on the village board. And I've been doing that for 20 years, and I love it. I love serving the village that way. And I hope to continue. I hope to move up to mayor so that I can initiate some of the things that I've been wanting to do.
And you've been involved in the community for a long time.
All my life.
So tell us a little bit about your commitment to the community.
Well, I'm on the Volunteer Ambulance Association. I've been an EMT. I've been there for 30 years, answered 3,500 ambulance calls, and I was the first female elected chief of the Ambulance Association twice. And I'm on the board. I'm a founding member of the East Hampton Healthcare Foundation. I've been on that board ever since, and I'm also on the board of the East Hampton Historical Society, and on the board of the Southampton Hospital, Stony Brook Southampton Hospital now, technically. I've been on that board for 3 terms, and I'm very excited to be working on the 24/7 emergency room that's going to be put up in East Hampton within the next few years.
Yeah, and that's a result of the hospital is planning to move right further west.
The hospital is moving to the Stony Brook Southampton campus probably within the next 5 to 7 years, yeah.
And how will that local emergency center, how is that going to benefit the community if it's here in East Hampton?
Oh, so many ways. I mean, that it means we don't have to make the trip to Southampton in the height of the summer when the traffic is so bad it takes forever to get to Southampton. So in an emergency situation, not just for ambulances, but for, people in their cars, I think it's a really difficult trip. So all the local ambulances will be able to go to this emergency facility and take patients there, and of course the whole community will be able to use it too.
Yeah, and someone in trauma or a
Absolutely.
patient needs more immediate attention.
Right, there'll be a helipad there if they need to be helicoptered up to Stony Brook Trauma Center. There'll also be a Stony Brook ambulance there, so that if they have to go from the East Hampton facility over to the Southampton facility, the Stony Brook ambulance will be able to take them.
Yeah, that's terrific. Something really important. So
Very
you
exciting.
really, I mean, when it comes to, medical services and helping people, that's been something that's obviously been a passion of yours. And now we're dealing with COVID and all the issues that relate to that have affected all of us in so many ways, and certainly affected the community as well. Certainly, you must be able to bring those expertise to your current role as a trustee on the village board in dealing with these issues, right?
Well, I've certainly tried to. I've been in touch with the hospital through the whole thing. I have a lot of contacts with the hospital, and we've been able to, keep track of what's happening up there throughout the whole thing, and getting advice, and also through the county and the state. We've been in touch with state and county officials throughout the whole crisis, and tried to really keep the residents informed as much as possible.
And one of the issues that's in the whole COVID has been testing, right? And
Right.
How is that working in East Hampton?
Well, I actually worked with Supervisor Van Scoyoc about a month ago to get a testing site up and running. That site has since closed, but I've been most recently working with the administration at Southampton Hospital to get another testing site up and running in the village, actually in East Hampton. That's going to be announced very soon, and that's going to be very easy access for the residents. And that'll be up at least through probably October.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, as you said, rightfully, the transportation issues are so difficult. We'll talk about those as well. Both for ambulance workers and patients, and any of us trying to drive from East Hampton to Southampton or Montauk to Southampton for some of those basic services, it's going to be quite a test. So the more services we can bring
Absolutely.
here to East Hampton and the village that you've been so actively involved in,
Absolutely.
the better it's going to be for all of us.
And that facility will have MRI and CAT scan, which we don't presently have. We have some radiology in East Hampton now, more recently, in laboratory services, but we don't have MRI and CAT scan, which will be available then, which is great.
Yeah, that's really terrific. These are great work. That's really great work. Something that benefits the community in so many different ways. So, in the election for mayor, Barbara, what do you think are the bigger issues here? We can't touch on all of them. You have a terrific website that people can Google Elms Party East Hampton or the Elms Party. And go to the website and look at all the issues that you've addressed. Because I know I've been getting the emails, and I get an email from you almost once a week for the past 6 months.
Right.
And usually they come out every Monday, and you're addressing, the tough issues that the community faces, that village residents face, a whole spectrum of them. And you've done it very thoughtfully and articulated them. But in terms of the larger issues, what do you feel are the bigger issues as mayor that you will face when you're elected?
Well, I think quality of life is always at the forefront for me because, when you live in the village, it's a busy place. Noise is an issue, as we can hear, probably listeners can hear. We have construction going on next door, so we hear construction noise. We hear traffic noise. Traffic is always an issue, not just because of the noise, but because of, having to navigate from one place to another in the summer in the village is difficult. So quality of life issues are a big deal for me. I think water quality is a big deal because that's fairly new in terms of, the last 20 years. We weren't talking about that so much 20 years ago, but we know so much more now about water quality and what contributes to the problems with our ponds. Town Pond, Georgica Pond, Hook Pond, all need our attention and our help, and we're working on that. We're working on a water treatment plant that's in the works, and that's going to be unveiled very shortly. And there are a lot of things that we've done to try to assist our water bodies, such as the rain gardens. People can see that it's right in the middle of the village, so that's a real obvious one, the rain garden that's by Town Pond. Also, filters that have been put on all the drains to filter out nitrogen from water runoff, and we're doing our best. We're doing a lot of testing of the waters to determine exactly what it is that's causing the most problems. So that's a big issue. I think that's an issue that's not going to go away very soon. We're going to be dredging Town Pond in October, hopefully, and that's a great thing. I'm very excited about that. We all know Town Pond needs help. It's so full of stuff. Some of it is legacy stuff going back to DDT. We've actually seen DDT come up in the samples, and we know that's been outlawed for many, many years. So there's a lot of legacy issues that affect our ponds, but we need to get a handle on it. We need to clean them up, and we need to keep them clean.
And the village played a pretty active role in promoting and supporting the new technology, the low nitrogen systems that people are being encouraged to replace their septic systems, and there's some funding for that. What role did the village play in that?
Well, the village, of course, the county, Suffolk County, gives a grant for that, and East Hampton Town gives a grant, which village residents are entitled to because we're also town residents. We actually made our law even more stringent than the towns. If you are going to do a renovation or addition to your house that's over 25%, at least 25%, then you need to put in this new low nitrogen system. If you're building new construction, you have to put in a new low, they're called IA, Innovative Alternative Systems, low nitrogen. They filter out the nitrogen. So we have done our best to try to tighten that up, and we're hoping that people are going to take advantage of the fact that there are these grants out there to help pay for them.
And of course, a lot of community groups are involved in supporting this program. The Friends of Georgia Pond and many other local organizations have supported this. I think we're seeing some success in certainly all the new homes that are being built are required to put in the new system.
Right.
But we're also seeing some success in people who are voluntarily replacing their systems, in part because of the grants that are available, but also because they're trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
I know many people around Georgia Pond have begun to and have in fact replaced systems.
I think at least 16 have been done. I think it's about 16 now.
Yeah,
Replaced.
Close to that replaced, and my understanding is that there are 33 properties surrounding Georgia Pond that have either replaced their septic system with a new system, or are in planning or permitting to do so.
Which is great.
So some progress is being made
Absolutely.
in that area.
I think that's great.
What some of the campaign issues that have evolved over the campaign include issues that relate to the downtown or central business district. I know there's been discussion of trying to revitalize or promote the downtown area more. What are some of the issues that you want to discuss as they relate to the commercial area and the residential area?
Well, I think that the commercial area, we know that retail is in a struggle. There's so much online now, so much can be bought online that a lot of people are not making use of retail stores the way they used to. So the question is, what are we going to do to fill some of the spaces that are empty? And the water treatment is a big part of that issue, because we can increase what's called wet uses, which are restaurants or coffee shops or juice bars, that kind of even an ice cream shop. We cannot add any of those into the village at this point because there's no.
Well, it's always been my dream to run an
I
ice
know
cream
you
store.
want to do an ice cream store. I know that would be big.
Yeah, we all have our crosses to bear, but
That's
a really
right.
good vanilla ice cream is right up my
That would
alley.
be great. So a nice ice cream sundae place would be great. So yeah, that would increase the ability to do those stores, which brings more people into the village core. And we don't want stores to be empty. We want storefronts to be full. So we have to really think about what we can do to make that happen.
Yeah, and what about the other issues that relate to the core of the village? Parking, and then there've been. What about parking and other issues that relate to?
Well, we have just invested in a brand new parking system, which we're really excited about. It's a license reading system, so there will no longer be ticket machines when you go into the lots. We're going to have these license readers, which will go through the lots and will automatically let you know if somebody's been there too long. It's going to give us a lot of freedom because it's all done by computer, and the computer will give us the ability to say this section is 3 hours, this section is 2 hours, this section is 1, however we want to do it. So it's going to give us the ability to do some, just experimentation. What works best? Should we make this whole lot 2 hours and this whole lot 3 hours, or should we do different sections of each lot? We can play with it and see what works best for the merchants and for the people that are coming into the village. I'm excited about that. We also have talked about, looking at our parking lots, because some things just evolve over time, and then you have to sort of step back and look at them. And I think a good engineer, our village engineer, could probably come in and maybe do some redesign in the parking lots to increase the parking and the flow and all that stuff. So there are things that we are looking at for the parking as well.
Okay, and also, there are also some of the campaign issues that come up to relate to, the pre-existing non-conforming inns. There's 6 or 8 of them that historically have been around. They're in residential zones, so pre-existing non-conforming inns. Most of them have some food service or restaurants in them as well. Some people have proposed, an expansion of live music in those kinds of locations. Some people are talking about, a lot of active uses in Howard Park. I've heard some candidates talk about food vending machines and festivals every weekend and those kinds of things. How do you feel about those issues?
Well, residents are the most important part of the village to me, and I think we always have to be aware of how anything is going to be affecting the residents that are around those places. So the inns are surrounded by residents. They're in residential districts. We cannot allow them to do anything that's going to affect the quality of life for the people that live around them. Live music is a tricky one. I do think there are ways that we can allow, by special permit, an event there, occasionally, and that way we can control traffic and noise, what time it would have to be over, it couldn't go late at night, that kind of thing, so that it could be something that the neighbors could tolerate. And I think Herrick Park is also surrounded by residents. I don't know if they would want music events there every weekend. I certainly wouldn't. I can hear Herrick Park from here when there is amplified music. So, and I'm a good distance from Herrick Park. So we always have to be cognizant of the fact that there are people that live right there. It's not a party venue. It's a beautiful, bucolic space that we are working on to enlarge and make better. But I don't think we want to turn it into a music venue necessarily. Occasionally, the street fairs have been fun, but occasionally.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, and a lot of people, Herrick Park is. You also have an agreement, a long-standing agreement with the school district.
Right.
The school district uses it as their playground area. They use it for their athletic events, baseball, soccer, football. You have a very active. I was always amazed when I worked for the village. How many parents went to the playground area. It's a really attractive place for parents with young children. They go there and spend a few hours, even in the off season when it's
Absolutely.
chilly out. So you have a lot of different things going on there. Now it seems like it's not used, but in fact it often is.
It is used very well.
And,
absolutely. And we have to be careful with overuse, because that can ruin the fields.
The turf,
Yeah. And so that's something that we have to always be careful about too. We don't want to overuse it.
Look, I mean, it seems to me your campaign is really about balance, Barbara.
Totally.
You have a long history. You grew up here. You lived here. You made a commitment to the community for so many years. You've proven your commitment to the community. I mean, you did 3,500 ambulance calls, over your time in the ambulance. So you're about a perspective on the history of the village, trying to protect it and preserve it to the extent that that's possible, and then entertaining changes with a balanced perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Change is inevitable, and everything changes. That doesn't mean we can't control it and keep it, to a place that we think is okay. And I think I love this village. I know every square inch of it. I walked to school for 13 years in this village, I know Herrick Park as well as anybody, It's a great place, and we have to be careful to take good care of it. We have to take care of our infrastructure, but we have to also not let things get out of hand.
So can you just, I think we'll wrap this up. The election is September 15th.
Right.
People can vote by absentee ballot.
They can.
They can vote in person at the
Yes.
firehouse.
At the firehouse from noon to 9, so 12 noon to 9 o'clock at night. They can go to the Emergency Services Building, which is on the corner of Cedar Street. The entire fire area, all the fire trucks are pulled out, so there's plenty of room for social distancing. You don't have to be in a crowd, and you can vote there very safely, or you can do it by absentee. Just call Village Hall 4150, and they'll be happy to send you out an absentee ballot.
And you're running on the Elms Party with?
Elms Party with Rick Lawler and Ray Harden, who would make both of them great trustees. Rick has already been a trustee. Ray's been a member of the zoning board for quite a few years. He's a local builder. Both of them are great. They have the same sense of, this is where they grew up. We've all three of us lived here our entire lives, so we have good feel for the community, I think.
Well, thank you, Barbara. It's such a nice day, and what a beautiful day to be
I
with
know,
you
it's
in your
great.
backyard.
It's a nice day. I love it too. Nice to see you, Larry.